Okay, hello everybody and welcome back to another Commander video that I'm doing. I feel like I just got done, it was 4 days ago, talking about M21 and all the fantastic Commander cards they're putting in there. And already we have another set that's being previewed. JumpStart, super unique. I think the new set works like this. JumpStart will have 20 card packs. You will not know what's going to be in those packs, but the packs will be themed. For instance, let's say Elves is a theme. There will be 4 different variations of elf packs you can get. They are going to be set up to always be the same 20 cards based on that pack. You just don't know which pack you're going to get. So on top of that, there's going to be mythic packs, and the mythic packs really just mean that there's only one, like Bashery, for instance, is a Planeswalker pack. That's going to be mythic, which means if you get it, you're guaranteed Bashery, and you're guaranteed the other 19 cards that are going to be the support in there. Because what you can do is you take one pack, don't know what it is, another pack, don't know what it is, you just buy 2. That's going to be your sealed pool, and you open them up and you shuffle them together, and each pack is going to have a number of lands to be able to support the non-land spells that are in it. To get right into it, what we're going to talk about is, Commander focused, the cards that are going to be making a splash in Commander, but I kind of took more of a finance strategy with this. What the reprints in this set are going to do for the finance of Commander, because there are quite a few reprints that they've already spoiled in this that are huge. Top Commander cards of JumpStart, Reprint City, here we go. First one I want to talk about, and we're going to go in color order, Wooburg, is Emiel the Blessed. For 2 white and 2 generic, you get a legendary creature, Unicorn, so it can be your commander. For 3 colorless, you can exile another creature you control, then instantly, not end of turn, return to the battlefield under its owner's control. So right there, you have Eldrazi Displacer's effect, essentially, but you don't even need a colorless. It's just 3 generic. So you don't have to worry about putting all those pain lands or wastes into your deck or anything like that. You automatically have a blink commander. You can do so many great things with just white and green. Being able to blink enters the battlefield effects. And on top of that, it's got another ability that says whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, you can pay a hybrid green-white, which means a green or a white. If you do, put a 1/1 counter on it. If it's a unicorn, put 2 1/1 counters on it instead. I love the idea of this. The fact that it's not King Brago, the fact that it gives you green means we have access to cards like Eternal Witness. Another great target in green is Acidic Slime. So that's just 2 examples. There's a million I'm sure you can find. Which is why Emiel the Blessed is a fantastic card that I'm really excited about in this set. That's Emiel. Alright, we have a reprint up next, which is Rock's Faithmender. Pretty elegant, pretty simple card. For 1 white and 3 generic, you get a creature Rhino Monk with lifelink. It's a 1/5, great blocker. And if you gain life, you gain double that much instead. You gain twice that much life instead. Not too much to say about Rock's Faithmender. It's great that it is seeing a reprint. It's great that we're going to have access to it for cheap. I don't think it ever really got too expensive. I didn't actually do the finance on this, but it's a reprint I'm happy to see. Alright, next up in white is Linvala, our art's namesake for this video. Linvala has quite a climb in the past, and her stocks look like this. So we saw almost $50, maybe even peaking a little above $50 in her heyday. She saw another reprint. I'm not sure. I think it was one of the master sets, maybe Iconic Masters. And she did see a drop around Ixalan. And towards the end here, right at Theros, we can see a climb starting to happen again. Dare I say a spike was beginning with Linvala. So that's a trend that we're going to see a lot of with these finance cards, and Linvala was definitely shooting right back up to the $40 mark, almost exclusively because of Commander and its popularity. So another great reprint that we're seeing is Cathars Crusade. Never really saw a huge financial increase with this card, but it is a cornerstone of a lot of infinite combos. You can look them up. I'm not going to list them all here. So when it's a niche piece for different commanders and different strategies, I like those cards to be under $5, and this reprint's definitely going to put it there. All right, on top of that, I think this is our last one for white. We have Path to Exile. It is 1 single white for an instant speed exile target creature spell. Super staple of Commander. Super good to see a reprint. It's been reprinted a lot, but it needs to be reprinted a lot because it's that popular to keep that price down. So happy to see it. All right, moving on to blue. Bruv. You're going to hear that a lot with this card. The next meme card that has hit the table, and I do love this card. I love the design. It uses mill as a keyword mechanic. If an opponent would mill one or more cards, they mill twice that many cards instead. So similar to Rock's Faithmender, we have if an opponent would do something, they do twice that much instead. This is a 1/4, also similar to Rock's Faithmender. Low power, high toughness, decent blocker. You know, we know what this is. It's going to go in mill strategies. It is a fantastic enabler for Commander mill decks. There's one in our local meta. Super annoying. People hate it. It's arguably more hated than Planeswalkers. When people just see the mill commanders, they go after it. They don't want it to happen to them. They don't want to watch all their cool cards that they put into their 99 go into their graveyard, you know, never to be seen again. Bruvac the Gradiloquent is going to do that in droves. It's going to see the commander slot. It's going to see non-commander slots in other mill decks. We're going to see a lot of it. This one I could actually see becoming a little bit more expensive than Emiel. This could be a highly sought after commander, especially if it doesn't see reprints in a couple of years. So if you're somebody that likes to mill, I would say pick up a couple of copies of this right away because I could see this being a $10, $12 card in a couple of years. All right, Kirea, the Great Glass Spinner. No, not the. Kirea, Great Glass Spinner. 2/2 flyer. Creature you control have whenever this creature becomes the target of a spell or ability for the first time each turn, counter that spell or ability. That also includes your spells and abilities. Kirea is a highly sought after card. I think it saw itself up to the $10 mark for a while. So it's cool. It sees a decent amount of play in Commander, and it's good that it's getting a reprint. Inez. I'm not sure how to say it. Inez. We'll say Inez. Inez the Gale Force. This is a really cool card. And this is going to be a commander for flying tribal. It is a 4/4 with flying for 5, so it's a pretty good rate right there. So we got 2 blue, 3 generic, a Djinn. It has flying. Its ability is 2 generic and a hybrid white-blue, thus making it a white-blue commander. Attacking creatures with flying get +1/+1 till end of turn. And again, that doesn't tap, so that's over and over again. That's pretty good, so definitely pushing a flying base. Whenever 3 or more creatures you control with flying attack, here's where it gets weird. Each player gains control of a non-land permanent of your choice controlled by the player to the right. So you take one permanent, so you get to choose all of them. So it's always going to be advantage you. It's a really cool idea, really cool ability, and yeah, I think we'll see that built around a lot too. Very cool effect. All right, moving on. Boom. What do we need to say about Rhystic Study? Not a lot. This is a staple if there ever was one. So I think this card was seeing upwards of $25, maybe closer to $30. Let's see where it was at. Yeah, it was at its highest just recently, and that is about a little under $30, about $28. It was on a decline, I think before this was spoiled, but not a huge one. You know, you can kind of see how this just peaks and then drops and then peaks and drops and peaks and drops, and that's how finances go. Overall, the trend is up, and man, was this ever trending up. And it was a necessary reprint, I think. We don't want to see something that was printed at common become a $50 card. Rhystic Study, much more accessible now. Great reprint. Exquisite Blood. We just talked about this in my M21 video. Exquisite Blood is part of a really popular combo in Commander. Whenever an opponent loses life, you gain that much life. So here's the finance of this card. And because Exquisite Blood was the unique one-off that had this effect on it, it became worth quite a bit of money. And here's the trend that we've been seeing with all the reprints. It was on its way up. It was about to peak over 50, and they hit it with a reprint. I love it. Super necessary. But yes, as we were talking about before, this goes with Vito, Thorn of the Dusk Rose, and they're both printed in the same set. So we're going to be able to do that combo that I explained to you in Limited if you can get both of the packs. And I like that idea. I like the long shot idea of getting lucky and having it happen and, you know, doing the meme and everybody jumps up and high fives, and I really hope I can see it happen. All right, moving on. Another reprint, another fantastic reprint. Sheoldred, the Whispering One. 7-drop. It's a Praetor. I love the Praetors. I love the lore. Swamp Walk. At the beginning of your upkeep, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. That's really good. Right off the bat, you have a 6/6 with evasion that reanimates at the beginning of each of your turns. On top of that, at the beginning of each opponent's upkeep, that player sacrifices a creature. This card was getting super expensive. Here we go again. Plateaued for a long time, was in the midst of a huge jump right after Theros Beyond Death. And it got hit with a reprint, and that's awesome. And that's exactly what we wanted, because Sheoldred is super fun to play. It goes in a bunch of commander decks. It will now hopefully drop below the $20 mark. And I would say pick them up. Pick up all these cards. All these cards that you see popping above the $30 mark, it is a good time to pick them up. All these reprints are doing marvelous things. So here's a new card that I really think will have an effect on Commander. Tinybones Trinket Thief. This will be a mono black commander if you choose to build around it. At the beginning of each end step, if an opponent discarded a card this turn, you draw a card and you lose 1 life. So 1/2, and for 4 and 2 black, each opponent with no cards in hand loses 10 life. So this is like an attrition commander. This looks like it'll be super fun to build around, and you can put things like Liliana the Veil in there and make everybody discard over and over again. You keep people's hands empty, keep them top decking, which on its own is a really strong way to win the game of Magic. And once they are on top deck mode, you can just hit people for 10 life. Just dome them for 10, each opponent. So if you have everybody with no cards in hand for 6, everybody loses 10 life. I love the flavor of this card. I love the power of this card. I think it's going to be super fun to play around. Tinybones Trinket Thief. Can't wait to play against it. All right, here's another reprint, Black Market. I didn't know this card existed for a super long time. And I've been playing Magic for over 10 years now, multiple formats. It's hard for a card like this, which sees a lot of play in Commander, a decent amount of play, to sneak under the radar for me. But yeah, I was playing the other night and somebody dropped this card and I was like, what does that do? This card seems like it should be worth $60. It is so strong. For 2 black and 3 generic, you get an enchantment, a black enchantment. Whenever a creature dies, put a charge counter on Black Market. The game goes on, you have 4 or 5 charge counters on it. At the beginning of your pre-combat main phase, add a black for each charge counter on Black Market. That's huge in Commander. Being able to, like Carpet of Flowers is an effect that does that only if people have islands out. Now, granted, Carpet of Flowers comes down for 1, so that's really good, but this isn't dependent on anybody having islands, only on people playing creatures. And in a 4-player game, somebody's going to be playing creatures, including yourself. You can build around this just with your own deck, having a ton of creatures or tokens and sack abilities out. It just ramps you up to turns where you can have 20 plus mana really quick. And as we all know, there's a lot of good things, especially in black, that you can do with 20 plus mana. I think I looked it up and this card was maybe around $5. I love that it'll maybe be $1 or $2 because super fun to play, goes in a decent amount of decks. Kels Fight Fixer. So here we go. In black, we have the apparently mono black, but when you read it, you realize black blue. Commander, possibly. 2 black and 2 generic. Azra Warlock. Azra is a new creature type, I think. I like it. Kind of like a satyr. 4/3 menace for 4. Decent rate. Whenever you sacrifice a creature, you may pay hybrid black blue. If you do, draw a card. So if you want to be able to put out a lot of tokens, a lot of creatures that come back from the graveyard, you can start drawing cards. For a colorless and sacrificing a creature, Kels Fight Fixer gains indestructible on a turn. Now, this has my attention, because giving a commander indestructible is huge. Definitely going to be something that people are going to build around. I think this has the potential to be like a tier 2, possibly tier 1 commander. I'm gonna say probably a decent tier 2 commander. Back to the reprints. Rise of the Dark Realms, 2 black and 7. This still is a huge staple of Commander. Being able to put all cards from all graveyards onto the battlefield under your control is nothing to scoff at. You don't just get all your own creatures back from the graveyards, you get every creature back from all the graveyards. This card was starting to spike. It was same kind of deal, plateauing a little bit from around 2019 to 2020, and was in the midst of a giant climb, and it got hit. It got a reprint. So thank you, Wizards. Thank you for showing us love and reprints and dropping the prices on this. This next card is possibly my favorite card of this new set. Witch of the Moors is great in so many ways. It has fantastic art. Look at that art. Everything's centered around this apple that one of the, 8 hands is holding. It has like a Cinderella type aspect to it, you know, with the apple and the witch, but then also the lantern and the smoke. I can't express to you how much I love this art. It's creepy. 2 black, 3 generic, Witch of the Moors, Human Warlock, Death Touch 4/4. At the beginning of your end step, if you gained life this turn, I love life gain, each opponent sacrifices a creature and you return up to 1 creature card from your graveyard to your hand. Seeing that much value for just doing something as easy as gaining life is something I really want to do. So I don't know the deck I'm putting this in yet, but I'm going to find it. I'm going to build it, and it's going to be great. All right, Reanimate. We all know Reanimate, right? It is super cheap. 1 black, put target creature card from a graveyard into the battlefield under your control from a graveyard. I always forget that with Reanimate. You can take it out of an opponent's graveyard. You lose life equal to its converted mana cost. I mean, it saw a few reprints. I think it was around $10. So, not insane, but let's keep it around $10. I'm happy to see it again. And I'm happy to see what this will do in the strategy for this set. Being able to, you know, play it in a limited format is not as broken as being able to play it in a constructed format. Reanimate should be super fun if you get it in a pack and you get to play it. So let's talk about Muxus. Goblin Grandee. 2 red, 4 generic, legendary Goblin Noble. When Muxus enters a battlefield, reveal the top 6 cards of your library, put all Goblin cards with converted mana cost 5 or less. Goblins aren't expensive. That's going to be most of the Goblins onto the battlefield and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. So that's really strong. I love the art on this card, and yeah. Alright, so there weren't a ton of red cards at the time of these spoilers that I made this video that I was excited about, but one that definitely made the cut was Immolating Gyre. So, Immolating Gyre is 6 mana, 2 red and 4 colorless. Immolating Gyre deals X damage to each creature and planeswalker you don't control, where X is the number of instant and sorcery cards in your graveyard. So this is a Spells Matter card, right? So it's fairly narrow. You want to have a lot of instants and sorceries in your graveyard when this hits, but if you hit the criteria that this card wants you to hit, if you get to that narrow spot, the power level is huge because it's a one-sided board wipe that, you know, one-sided board wipes in Magic, just for creatures. Destroy all creatures you don't control. That usually costs 7, 8, or even 9. Immolating Gyre can do that for 6 and hit planeswalkers. That is a huge rate. That is a really big rate of return, but in order to get there, you have to meet a criteria, and that criteria is you gotta have a lot of instants and sorceries in your graveyard. So it'll be really interesting to see the lists that this card makes, but it definitely has potential. It's mythic for a reason. There's a lot of power behind it, and the art's beautiful. We have Sethron, Hurloon General. Whenever Sethron, Hurloon General, or another non-token Minotaur enters the battlefield under your control, you get a 2/3 red Minotaur creature token. You're going to be strapped to find Minotaurs, but there's probably enough to build an EDH deck around. Every time you play one, you don't get a 1/1, you get a 2/3 token. That's really strong. This card is not to be underestimated. I'm really interested to see the lists that pop up on EDH REC around Sethron once this set gets in print. To wrap up red, we have Chain Lightning, similar to Path to Exile, although nowhere near as strong as Path to Exile. Nowadays we have, I believe, better impressions of Lightning Bolt, and Chain Lightning, although strong, is not what it used to be. So cool to see it, but, you know, not something I'm super psyched about. Alright, we made it. Green is where we are seeing the reprints that are making everybody excited. I didn't expect this card to see the spike that it saw, but boy oh boy, upwards of $50, upwards of $60. This card was about to break the $70 mark. Whether you're tokens, whether you're mid-range, whether you're just putting a lot of mana dorks out, elves, this is such an easy way to just win the game. Really happy to see this reprint. Really happy to see this price climb down a bit. If you are playing Commander, if you ever want to build a green deck, I suggest you pick this up. I can't wait to see the look of joy in people's face when they open a Craterhoof in their pack. You know, it was mythic, it is mythic. It's not seen a lot of reprints, so yeah, that's that. Really happy to see it. But we're not done. This is only one of 3 incredible reprints that green has shown us so far in these spoilers. Selvala, Heart of the Wilds, was also climbing up to $70. Now this just saw a reprint in mystery packs, which wasn't that long ago. That was like 3 months ago, 4 months ago when mystery packs came out. They're pushing this card back down as hard as possible. And that's great. I love it. The power that you see in Selvala is in its second ability, where you can pay a green to add X mana in any combination of colors where X is the greatest power among creatures you control. That gets you to one source, being Selvala, making more than 5 mana. And that's kind of the magic number. Once you get something that in itself, not with a combination of something else, can make more than 5 mana, then you can pair it with things like Staff of Domination. You can pair it with Pemin's Aura. You can pair it with Freed from the Real, and you get infinite mana. Selvala, Heart of the Wilds, you know, now before this down to 25. Let's hope this pushes it below 20. Let's hope we can pick up copies of Selvala for $15. When that window happens, I would suggest it. Anything below $20, get 2 copies if you can afford it. I'm going to pick up at least one more. I think I have 1 copy of Selvala that I opened from Conspiracy 2, which was a fantastic set. Man, did that set ever turn out to be powerful. Yeah, number 3, right back to back to back, Oracle of Maldaya. Commander staple, of course. You may play an additional land of each of your turns. Right away, you're ramping, you're putting down lots of lands. Oracle is huge, it's really strong, really great commander card, and it was going up to $50 before they caught it. And I'm dropping it back down. Another great reprint. Finances aside, we have some cool cards spoiled that aren't reprints, like Neyith of the Dire Hunt. So this is the green hybrid card. Whenever one or more creatures you control fight or become blocked, draw a card. Now that's pretty strong right there, because you may have some fight spells in there. There's a lot of good fight spells that have been printed lately. Whenever they become blocked, draw a card. So this could just read, whenever one or more creatures you control becomes blocked, draw a card. And that shows you how strong that is. And it only gets better from there, because fighting also draws you cards. At the beginning of combat on your turn, you can pay 2 and a hybrid red-green. And if you do, double target creature's power until end of turn. I think I'm going to build this deck. This looks awesome. That creature must be blocked this combat if able. Okay, so there's a little downside to it. It's not just a berserk, but come on, look at this card. You get a 3/3 for 4 that's a draw engine that has a pseudo berserk built into it. If this was mono green, this would be awesome, but you can put red cards in it too. This might be the card that makes me finally build a Gruul deck. I do love Gruul. I love everything in Magic. I don't like counterspells. Alright. Mythic level 1 drop. This card, I'm going to say it, I think this card is going to make Legacy Elves. On top of it not being able to be countered, none of your green spells can be countered. That's huge. Your instants can't be countered, your sorceries can't be countered, your other creatures can't be countered. It doesn't matter if they're elves. But if that's not enough, we get another ability. That's a mana sink. Until end of turn, each elf creature you control has base power and toughness 5/5 and becomes a dinosaur in addition to its other types. That dinosaur is just great flavor. Allosaurus Shepherd, not to be trifled with. Gonna see definitely commander play. I love that card. I love elves. Herald's Horn. Herald's Horn's getting a reprint. And this, I think, was a card that had gotten up to about 10, yeah, it was over $10. And it's just, it's a fantastic tribal staple. For 3, you get an artifact that comes down. You choose a creature type, so whatever your tribe is. Spells that you cast of the chosen type cost 1 less to cast, so it's a cost reducer for all of your minotaurs, cats, elves, goblins. And at the beginning of your upkeep, look at the top card of your library. If it's a creature card of the chosen type, you may reveal it and put it in your hand. So it's a draw engine, essentially, for tribal decks as well. It just became, a go-to for every tribal commander deck, and for good reason. It's super powerful. So I love that this is also seeing a reprint. That's all I gotta say about it. All right, we're rounding up the end of this video, and this was a long one. Thanks for sticking with me if you did. Phyrexian Tower. It's a sack source, it's a land, it can't be countered, and it ramps. This card is awesome. The new art on it is awesome. It's gonna see play in a lot of decks. It does see play in a lot of decks. And price-wise, this was above $60 for a while. I think this saw a reprint. Judging by this graph here, this had to have seen a reprint. somewhere around 2019, the end of 2018. But look, it was on its way back up, and they're keeping it down. They're keeping these prices down. They're keeping it affordable. That's what I want to see with these things. More sets like this. It doesn't have to be JumpStart. It doesn't have to be a master set. I love the idea that they're coming out with new ideas, new ways to reprint all these things, as long as you just keep reprinting them. I love it. Everything that you're doing in the set, mwah, chef's kiss. Fantastic. Finally, Riptide Laboratory. It is going to be in Wizards decks and decks that just run 1 or 2 Wizards, because there's really not a lot of drawback to this card. It doesn't come into play tapped. It provides you with mana, and for a blue and a colorless, you can return a Wizard you control to your owner's hand. This card was jumping up into the between $15 and $20 range, and really happy to see that it is getting a reprint. That's it. This is what we have so far for JumpStart. Really interesting set. This is a great set to teach people how to play Magic. You don't have to worry about misbuilding your deck. The deck literally builds itself. You get one pack, you get another pack, you shuffle them together, you build a deck. So people are going to be able to only have to worry about, new players are only going to be able to have to worry about playing that deck against somebody else who did the exact same thing. I hope this is how they do pre-releases from now on. Yeah, I would love to see this become an option for pre-releases, because you can worry about playing, and then deck building comes with that. Do a few drafts, you know? All right, guys, this has been JumpStart. Please like, please subscribe. What is your favorite new card in JumpStart? That'll be the question I'll leave you with. Leave it in the comments. All right, thanks. I'll see you later.